This is the second video in my mini series of debunking myths about Joe Biden being inept or senile or not a good leader or one of the even bigger whoppers than that if Donald Trump was president, Vladimir Putin wouldn't have invaded Ukraine. Now that is laughable. I guess I'm going to start with that whopper first in this video, I should say. Next video, I'll determine the topic before I make it. But now let's examine the facts. Facts are Donald Trump has a fixation with dictators, and when he was president, he treated our allies as enemies and our enemies as friends. Now, the only exception to that is Bashar al-Assad, which I don't really understand because he's probably the image of a strong man that Trump would probably aspire to. But let's examine this. So these clowns are blaming Joe Biden for Ukraine being invaded. That's rich. First off, I will tell you who's to blame for Vladimir Putin being emboldened. And most of the responsibility of Putin being emboldened was the European Union and NATO. Of course, the United States is part of NATO, but they are, and actually not even only, now that I'm thinking about it, not even only them as responsible, but the whole industrialized world. And you might ask what I mean by that. The world is still addicted to petroleum. It's still addicted to, oil and gas, natural gas, propane. Russia is has one of the biggest natural resources of that in the whole entire planet. Actually, they probably have the biggest. They have so much of that stuff that it's running out of their ears. Almost literally. But the world is addicted to oil and natural gas. And unless you remove his revenue, which that's 90% of their, or actually it might even be more than that, 90% of their economy is oil and natural gas exploration and sales. So, as an owner of a car, I'm partially responsible for emboldening Vladimir Putin because I don't have an electric vehicle. I rely on a fossil fuel vehicle. I rely on a chainsaw, a gas-powered mower. All that stuff has a price. And the price is they did not want to deal with Vladimir Putin because they was deathly afraid of their economies being hurt because of the energy crunch, which we was already in prior to this incursion by Vladimir Putin because Saudi Arabia and Russia did not raise oil production to pre-pandemic levels. So just the fact that, the world doesn't want to get off fossil fuels has emboldened Putin, because they don't want to deal, and the fact that he has nuclear weapons. So that right there is the reason why we really don't want to mess with him right now, like directly in Ukraine, is because he's a madman. He could use a nuclear weapon tomorrow. I would not put it past him. I honestly don't believe he will, but I wouldn't put it past him. And if we really wanted to deal with the problem, not only of global warming and all that, and to get off of fossil fuels, 20 years ago, we could have knocked out terrorism. Most of the hijackers in 9/11 was Saudi. Most terrorists come from the Middle East, and they get all their money to sponsor terrorism from oil. So if you really look at it, if we would have started transitioning away from oil back when the after World Trade Center, we could have killed terrorism, and they would be living in squalor. They wouldn't have the money to be, paying for all these terrorist activities around the world, and which it seems to be in a little bit of a lull now, but I'm sure they're plotting something somewhere. They're never going to be happy, because we are still in their neighborhood, I guess you could say. But Joe Biden wasn't president when Vladimir Putin invaded Crimea. That's one of the things that Obama did not do when he was president, which is something that Joe Biden has done. He could have rallied the international community like Joe Biden has done, and put sanctions on Russia like has never been on Russia and Putin before. Putin has never been sanctioned like he is now. His oligarchs have never been sanctioned like they are now. Never. Never. He's committed war crimes since he has been in office, since Chechnya, and I believe it was 99. He's been committing war crimes since then, and nobody's ever done anything about it until now, until Joe Biden got the world to rally together. That and Ukraine is fighting a very brave fight, and that right there probably also inspired, the world and Europe to come together. It's mostly Europe and European Union, and but there is other countries that's helping us out, I'm sure, but that I've failed to mention. But the only reason why we are that they're sanctioned now, which it may not stop what's happening now, but it's going to. I believe it's going to be the end of Vladimir Putin. I believe it's only a matter of time. I think he grossly miscalculated. But Donald Trump, when he was in office, like I mentioned before, he treated our adversaries as friends and our allies as enemies. But it goes beyond that. Anybody who knows anything about Russia knows that one of the things that they hate most is a united Europe. And they also hate NATO. NATO was created to be a deterrent from a world war in the future. And Europe is stronger together. Obviously, that's the reason why NATO exists, to prevent war, and anyway, Russia is against NATO. They're against the European Union. So what did Trump do when he was in office? He tried to undermine NATO. He was trying to undermine the European Union. He badmouthed them from the time he was sworn into office until the time that he was voted out of office. He was trying to do Vladimir Putin's bidding. He was trying to destroy NATO. He was trying to destroy the European Union. So anybody who says that Trump was not a useful idiot to Vladimir Putin, because I don't think that he's truly friends with Vladimir Putin. I think Vladimir Putin knows he's a simple idiot, and he used him like a useful idiot, because that's what he was. The most powerful, useful idiot in the world. And you know, you want to talk about Joe Biden being responsible for Putin invading Ukraine. That is laughable. Joe Biden is a measured person. He does not generally lose his cool. He might get smart now and then, but he doesn't lose his cool. He's a pretty mellow guy. He's a nice person. He's a good person. And he's a good leader. Donald Trump isn't. The Republican Party was just chanting Putin's name at a conference down there in Florida. They're praising Putin on Fox News. So who is for democracy and who is for, fascism, communism, a dictatorship? That's the Republican Party. They're doing what Putin did in the early 2000s. They're undermining elections. They're making it harder to vote. They're running false candidates, fake candidates. Down there in Florida, they put in several races down there, they put a candidate down there with a similar name to a Democrat, just to confuse voters, to siphon off votes so they would win the seat. They're blatantly trying to steal elections. They're anti-democracy. They're not even trying to reform the election laws to negate all the voter suppression the Republican Party is doing. They're dead set against it. They don't want people to vote. They don't want people to have a right to vote. If it was up to them, it'd be like Russia. Permanent power. That's Trump. That's the Republican Party. Biden and the Democratic Party, although the Democratic Party is misguided in some ways, their heart's in the right place. They want the best thing for everybody. Not just black people or Hispanics, they want the best for everybody. They're not good at messaging, but they want the best for everybody. They want everybody to have a chance. They want everybody to have a right to vote. They want the rich to pay the fair share of taxes. The Republicans are against all that. They're against all of it. The Democrats want responsible gun ownership. The Republicans don't. They're made it to where you don't even have to have a license to get a gun. How stupid is that? You should be trained with a gun. And if you are mentally unstable, you should not own a gun. Most of this domestic quarrels that end in murder end with a gun. This stuff is not rocket science, but I'm running over in time. But I'll do another video. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. But y'all have a nice evening. Hopefully Ukraine pulls through this. Be safe. Goodbye.